Thanks, everybody. I'd like to call this council meeting of March 27th, Town of Lincoln Council, to order. And I request that we all stand for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'll begin by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate council chambers to the nearest exit through the court chamber doors. Obey all instructions given, and if assistance is required, please see Madam Clerk. Once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. Ensure that you place your cell phones on silent or turn them off if you haven't already done so. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Niagara Region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara and the Town of Lincoln stand with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Members of Council are all in attendance in person or remotely, with regrets from Councillor Reimer. We also have senior staff attending both in person and remotely. Also in attendance, we have Regional Councillor Foster joining us with a report, along with a presentation and update from Adam Christie, the Director of Conservation Areas from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. Welcome, Adam. Do members have any additions or amendments to the order of the agenda? Are there any declarations of interest? Do members have any announcements? Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Yes, I do have 3 items. It was a busy week last week. Our March 20th, we raised the flag for Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels has been serving our area and West Lincoln and Grimsby for 50 years, which is quite an achievement. They deliver over 2,700 meals each month to 750 people. They also provide transportation to and from appointments, homemaking, wellness and safety checks, and they also have a new grocery delivery service. And I just want to give a shout out to Councillor Mikulik and Councillor Brunet, who have been excellent volunteers for quite some time delivering meals for that service. So I also attended on March 22nd the Niagara Regional Seat at the Table for Women in Niagara. Councillor Murray was there, and you, Mayor, as well. It was a great opportunity to network, and Mayor Easton was a keynote speaker and did delivered a fabulous speech. This event is for women, new counselors and existing counselors, regional and municipality, for networking and mentoring. So it's a great event. And then finally, on March 24th, we had the grand opening of the Niagara Children's Center location at the Grimsby YMCA, which is a much-needed location. I know many families have had to travel for a long time to take their little ones or their youth out of our area, so this is going to be fantastic. And they offer many different types of therapy, speech therapy, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and many other specialized programs supporting families, children, and youth. So I was very excited to be there for that. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of updates from the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee. We have our new committee appointed for this term. We just met last week for the first time. There's a great group of knowledgeable people from varying backgrounds and experiences, all eager to move forward. Lincoln does not have a community representative appointed yet. Carol Fuhrer was in that position last term but had to step away. So please, if you know anyone that may be interested in serving on the committee along with me, please let me know and I can share the information with you. And also from the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, moving forward with business from the Chamber, there are a few upcoming events I'd like to share. Thursday, April 6th, there's a business after 5 at the local Eat and Drink. Wednesday, April 26, 2023 is the State of the Town Luncheon at which Mayor Easton will be headlining, and that's at Rockaway Vineyards again this year, and I think the invitation went out today from Andrea Chambers to everybody. Thursday, May 4th is the Business After 5 at Calamus Estate Winery, and the Chamber Cup Golf Tournament is being held at 20 Valley Golf Tournament. I believe Andrea Chambers has been sharing registration information about all of these events. If you aren't sure, just reach out to me and I'll make sure you receive them. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Just want to announce that I was able to participate in the board meeting for the library. Again, great board members, great committee, very passionate, extremely intelligent. There's going to be a survey this April 1st at the local libraries, both in Pelham and in Lincoln. So they're looking for insight or for feedback from residents as far as what they'd like to see moving forward in the future. So if anyone does have an opportunity or time to do so, please stop by the library and fill out that survey. Thank you.
That's great, Councillor. Thanks very much, Councillor. Do you think that it will be circulated to the town? To members of council?
That I'm not aware.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's great, councillors. Always happy to know that people are out and about as much as they can. We have no proclamations this evening, and we have no recognition or and achievements this evening. We have no delegations and presentations this evening. However, we do have one item brought forward from Councillor Brunet for information this evening, being item 1.7, that was circulated with the council information package the week ending March 24th, 2023. This correspondence is from the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario, TAPMO, regarding Ontario Division Court decision for more equitable taxation. And Councillor Brunet, please go ahead. I'm very pleased that you brought this forward, reminded us that progress had been made and that you're willing to talk about it as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Easton. So I appreciate the clerk's department circulating this in our correspondence, and I appreciate the opportunity to expand on just a little bit of background and maybe a little history, and then what this court ruling actually means. So as the mayor alluded to, TAPMO is the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario. Currently, there are approximately 30 municipalities that belong to TAPMO, and we're out trying to recruit some of the top tier municipalities across Ontario. And we recently met with the Ontario Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association at their office in Mississauga, which Mayor Easton would know all about it as being a member of TAPMO for a number of years. I've just recently joined the board in January. But this is kind of a historic meeting. It's been a bit of I would say, a bit of an adversarial situation between TAPMO and OSCA. But it was a great meeting, and we're looking to have a joint delegation with the Minister of Natural Resources, Graydon Smith at AMO in August. So all good things. So Mayor Easton, this association represents aggregate rich municipalities working with industry partners and decision makers to develop a long-term practical approach to aggregate extraction in Ontario that will benefit all stakeholders. So Ontario's consumption of aggregate resources helps obviously fuel a steady economic growth. With the demand for aggregate products rising from the close to market suppliers more than it can supply, we need a sustainable, constructive solution that will benefit all stakeholders moving forward. So to support a more sustainable future, TAPMO has been advocating for a number of years for better fair taxation. So over the last couple of years, under the support of Wellington County, which kind of encompasses Puss Lynch, Erin, and Guelph and Aramosa, really going back to 2017, they've been working, trying to get the legislation and the formula on which MPAC looks at quarries and pits across Ontario. And there's literally 6,000 pits and quarries across Ontario. So this is a huge economic driver. So just recently on February the 3rd, the Ontario Divisional Court released its decision, and they ruled in favor of the County of Wellington. It's a huge ruling because it went against MPAC, if you can imagine, went against MPAC, who is in charge of assessing these properties. So what this means, not only that was Wellington reimbursed all their court costs, but the formula on which now the land that these quarries and pits sits on will be reevaluated. Just as an example, some of the smaller quarries that might have been evaluated at $9,200 an acre will now go up to 2.5 times that, so near $30,000 an acre. It might not sound a lot, but some of these quarries make up hundreds and hundreds of acres. To put it in perspective, many of these quarries and pits for years have been paying less tax than a single family home in the province of Ontario. So it hasn't been fair. And this is really a precedent setting. Not only will it be the formula that will be changing under MPAC moving forward, but they will now look at the land within these quarries. What's been happening up until now is they've only been taxed on maybe a small percentage of the land. Like I said earlier, there might be 200 acres on any individual quarry, but they might be being taxed only on the areas where they're producing, where they've got their weight scales, where they've got their blasting machines, and where the trucks are actually loading the material. But they're actually hauling the material for miles and miles within the quarry. So the areas in which they're going to be taxed is going to be redefined. So this is going to be actually an incredible thing for 70% of the quarries across Ontario. And like I said, there's about 6,000. So just wanted to share this. We're trying to get the message out as of March the 22nd. We're asking all municipalities that belong to TAPMO to get this out in press releases and in their community newsletters and in their correspondence. So that's what we're doing tonight. And I appreciate the opportunity to bring this forward. Thank you.
Well, having sat on that committee for all those years, I can't believe that this has happened. And I have to say, you know, all credit goes to Wellington, Waterloo Wellington, because they were the ones that were footing the bills all along. And it was a really hard-won battle. So their CAO, Ken DeHart, was certainly working very, very, very closely. And I know that there were times when there were conversations that were taking place with CAO Kirkopoulos. And I know I've had Lawrence Wagner, Director Wagner, do the calculations for Lincoln, which based on the licensed area, those areas as you described them, Counselor, those numbers will change. So I'm going to turn to CAO Kirkopoulos and ask him, based on that report, Mr. CAO, would you expect that there's further communication that could come to council in the near future just to let us know what our situation would look like?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Absolutely. I know Director Wagner and I, just earlier today, were going back and forth on the implications and reviewing both the impact decision as well as some of the other data that we received from the ministry. So you can, we will put something together for council that includes both the cost and our apportionment of the appeal, as well as what the net benefit will be for our community.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Councillor Brunet. Really happy to know that that progress has been made and all of that hard work wasn't for naught. Thanks very much.
Yeah, just one other thing, Mayor Easton. I have some other information that I can probably share with the CEO and the finance director. I do know that for those Ontario municipalities that have not yet filed any appeals, and most of these are municipalities that have dozens and dozens and dozens of quarries and pits. They have until March 31st, 2023 to lock in gains for the 2023 taxation year. Any municipalities that do nothing at this time, it is likely that the assessment changes on any of those quarries and pits will not happen until the next assessment cycle. So I can pass that additional information along, but appreciate the opportunity to bring this forward to my colleagues and to the community.
It's great report. Thank you. I'll turn to Councillor Mikulik. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Certainly great news. Thank you very much for Councillor Brunet for bringing this forward. Just curious, like with this decision, is there a possibility or is there any chance of an appeal by those who this decision may
Councillor
impact?
Brunet, I understood this was the appeal, but what would you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the original court ruling came down on February the 3rd, and MPAC and 6 of the major quarry operators in Ontario appealed it, and the appeal was heard in front of the review board, and that's what this ruling is. This is the court decision of the appeal, and it was ruled against MPAC and against the quarry operators in favor of the municipality of Wellington.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that so there's no surprises. Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Great
That
work.
was, we were pretty, it was a pretty cavalier approach that MPAC took, and at the time, they had the support of the environment minister. And it was really a shame. There was no consultation with communities at all. And if you're up in North Dumfries and some of these areas, it's like a moonscape up there. And you'll go to a meeting, this one that Councillor Brunet was talking about, you'll drive in there in the morning and there's a big grader, the biggest grader you ever saw in your life. And you'll come in one way and that grader's working, moving around the whole time. 3 hours later, you'll come out and you leave in a totally different route. I've never seen anything like it. Anyway, those are some of the best external committees I've ever sat on. Thanks very much, Councillor. Councillor Timmers. Eric.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I'm not sure if our CAO and Councillor Russell were ahead of me or not. I just see that they have their hands
Oh,
up. And I'm
I'm
not sure who's next in the queue, so.
Well, why don't you speak and then I'll
Okay.
thanks very much, Councillor
All right.
Russell. You're a real gentleman.
Okay, my quick question. So Councillor Brunet, and I don't know if you know this information, well, you did kind of reference it, that this will not take place until the next assessment cycle. Do you know what year? Like, are we talking 2024?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe our Director of Finance knows on the
Okay.
cycle of impact. I know some of it's been delayed because of COVID and stuff like that, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure when the next review will be.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave it to our
Yeah,
staff.
one of the
Perhaps they
staff
know.
will pick it up.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Counselor. Counselor Russell, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, my question was along the lines of Councillor Timmers. I'm wondering, is there any ability to go retroactive at all with any of this, or is it just as soon as we get that impact reassessment, we go forward on that?
We'll see if that can get picked up too. So I'll go to CEO Kirkopoulos.
Through you, Madam Mayor, a few comments, and I'll let Director Wagner chime in on the reassessment piece, and if we can do anything before 2024 in terms of when the next reassessment is scheduled to take place, and if there's any retroactivity. But I did want to highlight that we have heard from others within Niagara region. Outside of Wellington, Lincoln was one of the first to appeal, and the appeal was very low cost. I know Director Wagner and I had conversations about it, and the sentiment and the thought was add our name to this, to the positive. And so I think what you're seeing now, and I'm looking at an email from Niagara region, where they're looking at gravel pits and quarries across Niagara now that Lincoln has not already filed an appeal on. And so I think you're going to see benefits across the entire region. But I'll let Director Wagner chime in on if he's got any ideas in terms of that retroactive piece.
Sure. Thanks very much, CAO. Hello, Director Wagner.
Hello, Mayor Easton. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What have you got for us?
Well, since we were one of the way I'm understanding it, since we were one of the first to the gate, any one of the municipalities coming on board now, I don't believe can appeal prior year's decisions, but because I think we're in advance of that, and as Mike indicated, we put a nominal fee up of $2,300 to put our appeal in. I believe we're entitled to prior years as well, in addition to the most current cycle. But I have to double check that to be 100% sure, but that's my understanding.
Okay. Fair enough. Councillor Russell, you're okay? All right. Thanks very much. Thanks again, Councillor Brunet. That's a great news story. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Murray that Council receive and file for information correspondence from the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario dated March 22nd, 2023 regarding Ontario Divisional Court decision for more equitable taxation. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
And the vote is open. And I'm closing that vote. And that carries.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried, and we move on now to item number 12, a motion to approve the previous council minutes. We are now considering item 12.1, council minutes of March the 6th, 2023. Do members of council have any questions?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell and seconded by Councillor Timmers. The council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council. Council minutes of March the 6th, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is open. And I will close the vote. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The motion is carried, and we move on to recommendations from standing committees. We are now considering the following. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 8th, 2023. Committee of the Whole minutes of March 20th, 2023. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 22nd, 2023. Do members of council have any questions?
Seeing none.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva and seconded by Councillor Rinchima that council approve the following recommendations from standing committee. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 8th, 2023. Committee of the Whole minutes of March 20th, 2023. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of March 22nd, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We're now moving on to notice of motion. Item 14.1 under notice of motion is being brought forward from Councillor Murray. This is an introductory notice of motion regarding amending the start time for council workshops and will be considered at the next scheduled council meeting. Councillor Murray, would you like to provide introductory remarks with respect to this item? And please note to everyone that consideration will be given at an upcoming scheduled council meeting on April 17th, 2023. Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Madam
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
The reason that I'm bringing forward this motion is that I've been having a number of conversations, both with staff and other councillors and the general public, regarding the ongoing challenge that our community faces in terms of engagement within the election, both in terms of voting, we had a very low turnout this year, as well as in people willing to stand for election. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about what those roadblocks are and what stops people from being willing to put their name forward. And I think there's a lot of different things, but one of the things that I think is challenging is, one of the things I notice that is challenging is the timing of some of our meetings. So recognizing that the best and brightest people who care about improving our community do not all come from one particular group, I feel that it is important to create and champion opportunities for Lincoln to become a leader in attracting candidates and therefore councillors that reflect our diverse community. And having scheduled meetings at 4 p.m. on a workday makes it more challenging for councillors who must deal with childcare, 9-to-5 work responsibilities, or other daytime constraints for them to participate. And this may lead then to potential candidates from a younger and or less affluent demographic choosing to either not run or to postpone their candidacy until such time as their work schedule, their childcare responsibilities, or their financial position allow them availability during the day. This then constrains the breadth of ideas, the lived experience, and the perspectives that we'd ideally have around the council table representing our constituents. I do recognize that workshops don't happen all the time and that they are heavily weighted towards the beginning of a council term when we're doing a lot more training. But still, I feel there's value in recognizing that it's in our best interest to make the timing of meetings so that all councillors are expected to attend as flexible as possible in order for more people to be able to see themselves in a role like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murray. We'll have further discussion on this on April 17th. We're now considering item 15.1, which is reports of municipal officers. We have Councillor Foster with us this evening. 15.1 is the mayor's report, and I have a few items that I would like to share with you. The provincial budget, of course, was very interesting and had a number of important issues included in it. And I would say that overall, and from the perspective of the town of Lincoln and the circumstances within our community, that the emphasis that's being placed on the health and well-being of communities, the health of youth, the health of seniors, the health of businesses was certainly welcome. I really felt at the end of it all that the province is getting the message that they need to take a much broader look at how the health of communities and what actually adds to a strong future for all of us. So that's where I would place the emphasis on my overall impression. Certainly, there's going to be some significant investments being made in mental health, housing, the Indigenous community and their health and well-being, issues around drug addictions. These things can no longer be ignored, and all we're doing by kicking them down the road and not properly funding programs is creating a much more needy environment for our citizens. There was a ministerial meeting with Minister Clark at the United Mennonite Home last week that I attended. This was very important. They're building a new 59 unit addition to the United Mennonite Home. And again, these alternatives for housing are very important and create a great deal of security within the town of Lincoln. The strategic plan at Albright is something that is now in the works, and I was happy to participate in the questionnaire and interview regarding Albright, which is one of our very important long-term care facilities and also retirement homes in the town of Lincoln. I hope that you'll take the time to come out to the charity golf tournament that's being, the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament that's being sponsored on Wednesday, June 28th. It's a one-day timed tea event, which apparently is a very desirable arrangement. It's always a great day, and I'm not going to say anything about the weather because I don't want to jinx anything, but I hope to see many of you there. The state of the town, as Councillor Regima said, is coming up, and you can get your tickets from the chamber, and it's scheduled for April 26th. Not this Sunday, but the Sunday before, I attended the Lions Breakfast, and of course ran into Bob Cranfield, who's a man that's lived in town ever since I can remember. So I went out with him to Meals on Wheels, and I usually go with Bob, so he gets my attention for about an hour and a half. And it was a great day, and I always have my eyes opened up when I go in and see how difficult it is for people to manage without very much support. So I want to thank Bob for being the driver, and I just want to remind everyone that the program is always seeking volunteers, and again, I think the fact that we have 2 counselors on the roster is certainly to be applauded as well. I want to speak about Regional Road 26, the Jordan Road one all-way stop that's being installed. I'm going to leave this to Councillor Foster because he was really behind getting the changes made. But it certainly is going to be a big improvement, and there have been some pretty nasty accidents at this corner. Broadband, well, this is really a big announcement, so keep your eyes open for tomorrow morning. There's going to be an announcement by the town about a significant infrastructure into broadband and internet connection, and certainly an announcement that many people have been waiting a long time to hear. I want to compliment Councillor Foster on his involvement with SWIFT, the Southwestern Integrated Fiber Technology, and the Eastern Ontario Regional Network Initiative, which we not only which is coming now onto our doorstep. So this is a subject matter that became very political once the announcement was made for the funding, and so I was really pleased that we had local representation on that board. On Monday, no, it was Friday, sorry, Friday, we had, that would be March the 24th, we had the first of 2023 Road Safety Blitz. And I want to speak a little bit about this because the results are really pretty horrendous, as usual. So on March 24th, 2023, the Town of Lincoln continued its partnership with the Ministry of Transportation and Niagara Regional Police Service and other agencies for the first Road Safety Blitz of 2023. The recent enforcement initiative was conducted on Lincoln roadways on March 21st and 22nd in collaboration with the town, the MTO, the NRPS, Hamilton Police Service, Niagara Parks Police Service. This is an important activity supporting the town's ongoing efforts to keep Lincoln Road safe. I mean, this is, when you think about it, this is a very, very significant coming together of some pretty expensive resources to make it very clear to those who are violating our local rules and regulations that the town of Lincoln is not fooling around when it comes to safety. And these are happening as a direct result of council's desire to redirect commercial vehicles away from Lincoln's downtown cores and onto regional and municipal roads that are more ideal for larger trucks. Of course, we don't want to interfere with the movement of goods, and we want to support our local businesses and overall economy, but we are talking about trucks that have absolutely no reason to be anywhere near our downtown. And so the safety blitzes aim to safeguard operation of these vehicles, and it's an ongoing commitment by the town to ensure that all roads in Lincoln are safe for residents and visitors alike. So here's the statistics, and I hope that you are sufficiently concerned about what is going on here, that it helps you to fully understand the importance of these initiatives. More than 150 passenger and commercial vehicles were redirected to the Vineland Truck Inspection Station. And I went down about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess it was, and I was really quite surprised to see the number of tickets that had already been issued. 65 vehicles were comprehensively inspected, and these vehicles had to be chased right up into the southern parts of Lincoln in order to bring them down, because at this point they know the cameras are on Victoria Avenue and they're taking any route that they can find to get out from under the problem. I saw some comments on social media about speeding. Yes, you bet your life that they were out there going after speeders. These are commercial vehicles, and they have the ability to do a lot of damage if there's an accident. So 65 vehicles comprehensively inspected, 24 vehicles were removed from the highway after significant safety concerns were identified. 95 provincial offense notices, tickets were issued for various offenses, including careless driving, distracted driving, speeding, improper license, improper tires, improper brakes, and insecure loads, and 3 sets of license plates were seized. Council has made truck and traffic safety a priority in Lincoln, and I firmly believe that the more truck safety blitzes we hold, the stronger the message will come through that we aren't fooling around with community safety. And I commend all the parties involved for resuming the blitzes again in 2023 and even earlier in the year than we normally do. This program ties in very, very tightly with Council's decision to create alternate routes on Durham and Bartlett. People say they appreciate the difference in the amount of large commercial trucks that are in the downtown areas. And yes, we will continue to carry on with this, and it's great that we have the partners that we do. So that's a piece of very important business that's continuing in the town. On Sunday, March the 26th, I brought greetings to the Bruce Trail Conservatory, and they gifted me with a guidebook. It was wonderful to see the work that the Conservancy is doing, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't been out on the trails in the town of Lincoln and environs to look into a membership. There's a lot of wonderful active and passive opportunities on the Bruce Trail for sure. So thank you very much. As always, it's my pleasure to represent you and to be there with other members of council on all of these events. I remind you that you live in Lincoln, a community of encouragement, where every citizen strives to be a good neighbor, where children and youth are encouraged to achieve their very best, where business contributes to growth and the sustainability of our community vision as a place to grow, a place to prosper, a place to belong. Thank you once again for welcoming us into your homes. And now I'd like to invite Regional Councillor Rob Foster to the podium. Thanks very much, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Good evening, everybody. And just a quick comment. Very, very pleased with the blitzes that have been going on, and I've been following the various pieces of information that have been coming out from that as well. I've been really pleased to be moving forward at the region with a wide variety of requests from this council as well as from the public on speed changes, on various things in and through the community. And we as the region have been making a variety of changes. And just to let you know, we passed at our last council meeting the bylaw to create a four-way stop at the South Service Road and Jordan Road, as well as reduce the speed limits from the North Service Road over to the South Service Road, and slightly beyond as well. There's an expectation that there'll also be oversized stop signs put in place when this is all said and done. So the region has been listening, and in fact, the good thing is that they've had to go through and review all of this with the Ministry of Transportation, MTO, which, by the way, found out that's not exactly easy. So anyway, staff have done a great job at the region for that, and I know Mayor Easton and I were both very happy passing that bylaw the other evening. Tonight, I'm not going to be talking about a lot of regional items. The next council meeting is going to come after all of our committee meetings. We have a wide variety of things that are coming up within the region within our various standing committees. Wanted to briefly talk about some of the other areas that I'm involved with, both as your regional councillor and also differing items that have come up over the last number of years. So I am going into my 6th year being on AMO, and I want to thank this council, well, most of you that are here, for actually supporting me as I went into AMO in the first place a number of years ago, and I have been there since. Quite actively involved with the Digital Governance Committee. I've chaired that for the last number of years. We've made a decision at AMO, however, is that we're making some significant changes to the committee structure at AMO. So I'll be providing more information on that once all of that is finalized over the course of the next month or so, so at one of the future meetings. SWIFT, thank you, Mayor Easton, for mentioning that. I'm on the executive of SWIFT here in southwestern Ontario. That's the Southwestern Integrated Fiber Technology Project. All of the monies for SWIFT have been allocated, and in fact, we know where it's landing here in Lincoln. We know where it's in and across Niagara. Very pleased with some of the additional announcements that are coming down the road. The monies that have been provided or requested from the province are starting to flow, and we're going to see some pretty significant happenings. The one thing that I am being very mindful of is that it's very easy for ISPs to go in and make changes within our communities because we still need better internet within our local communities. And that gives them big bang for the buck. But there's still more work to be done rurally. And I've been in discussions with CAO TRIP, as well as others, to make sure that we are, from a Niagara overall point of view, making sure that the rural is being taken care of. One of the real advantages of SWIFT, I will tell you, is that very heavily monitored what goes on with those projects. And my belief is that we need to be doing the same thing with any of the upcoming projects, particularly in the rural areas. So anyway, very exciting news on all of this. I also wanted to talk about the NPCA tonight, Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. So I'm into my second year as being the chair of the NPCA. It's a position that I absolutely adore, I must say. We have a great organization that's in place. Chandra Sharma, who is our CAO, is top-notch. She's continuously making organizational changes since she's really got her hands into the organization, and we are moving forward on a wide variety of things. We had a successful budget presentation at Niagara Region, and we have put in place some very good funding situations for the NPCA for the next number of years. Same thing has happened in Haldimand. They've approved that. And Hamilton is on the verge of doing approvals as well on their portion of this. So good news from the financial side of things with the NPCA. But what I wanted to talk about really tonight is the effect and what's happening with the NPCA here in the town of Lincoln. I've asked Adam Christie, he's our Director of Conservation Areas tonight, to take you guys through just a very brief presentation on what's happening within our conservation areas here in Lincoln. It's extremely good news. It's kind of going hand in hand with the other good news that we're hearing this evening, but the whole idea here is to make sure that and I wanted to make sure you guys know and understand the very positive things that the NPCA is doing for our community. Some of it is long overdue, but we're moving forward with it within it. So if it's okay with you, Mayor Easton, I'd like to invite Adam up here as well. So
Yes, please come to the podium, Adam, and we're very happy to have you here this evening. I suppose you're going to be able to sort out every question that we could possibly have about how Bill 23 and the NPCA are going to work together.
that's not you.
I defer.
Oh, well, too bad. You go ahead, Adam. We're looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Oh, great. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm excited to talk about some of these projects, and thank you, Councillor Foster, for inviting me as well. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about some exciting projects we have going on that are mainly in the town of Lincoln. So I want to talk about our NPCA conservation areas as a whole tonight, get into the Canadian Community Revitalization Fund, and then chat about Louth Conservation Area, Cave Springs, and Rockaway, and get into some project timelines and some volunteer opportunities. So for those that don't know, the NPCA was founded in 1959 under the Conservation Authorities Act, and the objects of the conservation authorities are to provide in the area over which it has jurisdiction, programs and services designed to further the conservation, restoration, development, and management of natural resources. It also oversees the Niagara Peninsula watershed, encompassing the Niagara region, and then portions of Hamilton and Haldimand as well. The NPCA also oversees and manages 41 conservation areas, which including our 4 flagship properties. We have 2 campgrounds in Wangfleet, Binbrook Conservation Area and Binbrook in the Hamilton area, and then of course, Balls Falls Conservation Area. So if you look at this map, this is kind of all of our properties across our jurisdiction. So you can see Binbrook Conservation Area is furthest west, and our Stevensville property in Fort Erie the furthest east, and the conservation areas in blue, which we chat about, the 4 flagship properties. And then when it comes to the town of Lincoln, these are our 6 properties we have, which include Balls Falls, Louth, Jordan Harbor, Mountain View, Cave Springs, and Rockaway. When we look at our conservation areas as a whole, the town of Lincoln properties make up 17% of our total land holdings, which is actually the second largest, with just Wainfleet ahead. Really since 2019, when the pandemic was in the heat of it, we saw a major increase in visitation. So this slide just shows the major increase we've seen in visitation. This is at our active day use parks, so the 4 main parks. And then this slide, we started to keep track of our passive conservation areas as well. And we saw also a major increase since 2019. Of note in this slide is Louth Conservation Area and Rockaway Conservation Area, and it shows how they are both in the top 5 of our passive visited conservation areas. And then when we brought in Cave Springs in just this past year, we saw quite an increase in there as well, with noting a really peak time in the September-October area. I think the one thing with these passive conservation areas that I wanted to mention that's unlike some of our active ones that's more seasonal, we see a real increase in traffic and a steady traffic 12 months of the year, which is really different than some of the other ones. The MPCA was also passed its strategic plan in 2021, and one of the main pillars of that strategic plan was connecting people to nature, which included improving services and visitor experiences at MPCA properties, which included buildings, trail maps, wayfinding, and accessibility, which is the real focus that I'm going to chat about today. So due to the increase in visitation we saw at our passive conservation areas and our strategic plan, the MPCA started looking for funding to support and enhance some of these passive conservation areas. I want to thank Town of Lincoln staff who helped support with letters of support, and we were excited to receive a substantial grant to start working on these enhancement projects. So the Canadian Community Revitalization Fund came into improvement of green space infrastructure to increase safe access to 6 MPCA conservation areas. And you'll notice that 4 of the 6 of the conservation areas were right here in Lincoln. This project was going to focus on enhanced parking on entrance areas, improved accessible trails, and trail improvement as a whole with new boardwalk stairs and wayfinding signage. We started with Louth Conservation Area. Louth is one of my favorites personally, and right in the heat of the pandemic, we saw a major increase in traffic at this conservation area. And the one thing that was noticed is that there was a substantial part of the conservation area that wasn't used with any trail systems. So we worked with the Bruce Trail Club, and as you can see, the trail in green, we're able to expand our trail system and really increase the overall enhancement of the property. Part of it was also restoring boardwalks on these trails, and we've seen just a major increase in visitation, we think, due to some of these upgrades. Moving on to Cave Springs Conservation Area, this was a real issue during the COVID times because we saw a real increase of traffic, and this currently had no parking area or access area to the conservation area. So everybody was just parked up and down Cave Springs Road, Corey Road, and there was some real issue if we ever wanted to get emergency vehicle or access into this area. So this was a priority for us to enhance. As you can see, the infrastructure has been completed at Cave Springs Conservation Area with a focus on accessibility and active transportation, as well as accessibility. So we were able to restore the accessible trail. We worked with the Niagara region to make sure the grade was an appropriate amount, and just recently, as of last week, installed a brand new accessible bridge. Really excited about this. Part of the project, and all of these enhancement projects include a low-impact development features. So you can see from this picture here, there's a bioswale and rain garden to support the stormwater management of the site. We were fortunate late last year, one of our big heavy storms, we went and took pictures to make sure the features were working, and we were proud to see from the pictures here that it was all working appropriately. So we'll move on to Rockaway Conservation Area. Rockaway Conservation Area, it's a 152 hectare property. And why I mention that is actually our 6th largest land holding, which a lot of people don't know. A real major property for us at the MPCA. It's part of the Niagara Escarpment with significant ecological features, including mature basswood, sugar maple, and sycamore trees. It also has a salt springs that date as far back as 1792. And of course, it has a couple waterfalls on its own. It has an extensive trail system that includes the Bruce Trail and offers a hike experience through the 15 Mile Creek. And currently, prior to August last year, we only had a 3-vehicle parking area off 9th right across from Rockaway Golf Course. So excited to chat that on August 3rd, 2022, the MPCA acquired the Rockaway Community Center area of the Rockaway of the property. That included a 1.12 acre property on the north side of Regional Road 69. 0.4 acres of the parcel includes the actual waterfall running along the west of the perimeter. And of course, the 0.8 acres was the parking area that can now provide a safe access area to Rockaway Conservation Area. The actual Rockaway Community Center was about close to a 5,000 square foot building, but it was over 65 years old. It was unfortunately in below average condition with notable cracks, and during our appraisal, it came through an estimated economic life of 15 years. So we immediately, due to the acquisition, health and safety was a concern to the site. So we immediately took on the enhancement project of Rockaway with the features and importance on a new permeable parking area with low impact development features, an increased tree canopy, green space, and accessible trail, a new trail system with wayfinding to complement the current Bruce Trail that was there. We wanted to add seating areas, interpretive and education signage, and then the current lookouts that there really make some improvements to emphasize the health and safety. So this is the concept of Rockaway. We are currently in the process working on the drawings to go to tender. It won't be exactly like this, but you can see the focus will continue to be on health and safety and accessibility with some low impact development features. So timelines for all these projects. We want to complete some boardwalks at Louth. There's a couple left to be doing in 2023. As I mentioned, the Cave Springs infrastructure is done, and we want to get going on the interpretive signage and wayfinding in 2023. Rockaway, the infrastructure enhancement project, we've initiated and hope to have done by sometime in the fall, and then support the interpretive signage and wayfinding in 2024. I just want to quick talk about some of the community engagement that we've done here. Some of our staff over the last year or so, our community engagement team at the MPCA has worked with the Benchland Citizen Group to improve some trails. We also work with the Lincoln Pelham Public Library in town of Lincoln to support and promote our Nature Plus program. And we still continue a ton of volunteer opportunities as well, which include heritage interpretation and demonstrations at Balls Falls, that also include our education programs and camps, and of course trail ambassadors with all of our trails. So other than that, I'd be happy to take any questions. I want to thank everybody for allowing me to share some of these exciting projects.
Well, that is almost breathtaking. That's so much work to look forward to. It's superb.
Yeah, we're excited. Thank you.
That's great. Any questions? At least some accolades. Somebody's been doing their work.
I'll start. Accolades. I want to just add a couple of other things to Adam's presentation. So I got to tell you, and I think I said this at one of our earlier meetings, the Rockaway acquisition is probably one of the most important things I think I have done as a politician and working on committees. That's going to last a long time, and I think it's really important for us. I've also outreached to the region to do a review of the speed limits in and through that particular area, right by that. There's been a number of complaints already about speeding in that particular section of road anyway, but the region is going to be doing a review to make some decisions on what's appropriate, particularly with the expectation of more people coming in and making use of that area. And a couple of other things going on. There's some MOUs that are being worked on between the NPCA and the region, particularly in and around the area of planning, which Mayor Easton was alluding to earlier, but we shall be seeing where those lead to. That's not Adam that has those, but they are moving forward. And just finally, the one other area that he touched on was Jordan Harbor, although you weren't there the other morning. But Mr. Kirkopoulos, as well as a number of people from the region and the NPCA, were there with myself, and we did a tour in through that area. There are some concerns with the Jordan Harbor area and the conservation, so we shall see where that leads to. So
That's great. Thank you very much. And now I do have lots of questions, so we'll go to Councillor Timmers first.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I'm not sure I have questions, I have accolades instead, but thank you so much for coming out tonight, and this is great. I think this is, great information, and, the town of Lincoln does have significant conservation properties, and Rockway, the improvement there is just incredible. It's a massive property, and I think lowering the speeds is a really good idea as well. I think just finding out what we have and where it is, and it's very important. The improvement there will be great, and the numbers that you showed, the visitors, it's just exploding. I see that just in one smaller area up on Quarry Road. Every time I drive through there, it's so busy. There are nonstop vehicles there. People are hiking like they never have before, and all year round by the looks of the numbers, which is fantastic. So, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much, and we are hoping that the Cave Springs enhancement will alleviate some of that parking, and now the parking in an actual parking area that they have with the proper signage and rules and all that stuff.
I know we have a lot of new residents in Lincoln, and they are just looking, where can we hike? Where are the trails? They're just out there, and it's fantastic. They're rediscovering all of our treasures that we've had here, so.
Oh, for sure. And through you, Chair, I think when all this infrastructure and these projects are done, we'll certainly work with Town of Lincoln staff to start promoting and marketing these properly to get the word out.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks again. Thanks, Mayor.
Good thing you got those questions in there at the end. Councillor Murray.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Through you to Adam. Adam, excellent presentation. I live right around the corner from Rockway, so I recognize what a beautiful place that is. And I would appreciate if you don't maybe get the word out, because I love it that it's not so busy yet. Although I recognize that when people, similar to what Councillor Timmers has said, when people talk about moving to Lincoln, one of the draws is the beauty of our landscape and the opportunities for hiking. It's not just that you can drive by and see it, but that there are so many places where you can go in and get a little closer to nature, and the waterfalls are phenomenal. I do have a question about Rockway. As I said, it's in my neighborhood. So you are planning, if I understand correctly, you guys are going to be removing the building and replacing it with more pavilion, open concept sort of things. Your presentation said that the infrastructure enhancement begins in 2023. Does that mean that the building's coming down in 2023 as well?
Yeah, through you, Chair, we're hoping to have the building down in early summer, late spring, and then start the enhancement project in the summer, the actual construction.
So again, that's one of the prime opportunities for people to hike. It's very busy that season. So do you see any challenges with people being able to access the trails and the site during construction, or is it just going to be closed off? Or
yeah, that's a great question. And again, through you, Chair, we don't anticipate having to close down the conservation area. We do have other areas and access that we can use to access where our current parking was prior, but we also think using the actual entire parking area, we can do it in sections to allow people to still enjoy the hiking experience over the peak times.
Great, thank you. And one more question, if I may, Mayor. Not related to your topic, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media lately about your Trees for All program. Do you have any more details that you could share with us about that?
Yeah, I thank you. And through you, Chair, it's not my division, but I know our restoration team is kept open the applications. So I think encourage everybody to go to our website and find out all the details. And I think you're still able to apply.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor. I'm trying, Councillor Mikulik.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. Through you to Adam, thank you for the presentation and for giving up your evening to spend time with us tonight. Question I have is with regards to the Rockway Center, is there any possibility for facilities? Currently, I believe there must be septic, there must be a way for people to have been able to go to the bathroom currently. Is there any possibility, in looking at the drawing or the conceptual drawing here, is there any possibility for facilities?
Yeah, thank you through the question. And through you, Chair, there is an option for facilities. When we did this, because of the funding, because of the permits needed or required, we really wanted to focus on getting this project done with a passive recreation lens to it as a phase one, knowing that a phase two, through a proper management plan, we can look at exploring alternative options that include additional facilities, whether it's a bigger pavilion, washroom facilities, items like that. There's also the option for portable toilets, stuff like that. And during peak times, we can also consider.
Okay, that's terrific. Just while you're in the planning stages, if that could be considered in the future. And then, if I may, another question through you. I use the trails quite a bit. Me and my dog, we it's fabulous. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The more natural it is to me, the better, in my opinion. Now, is there the one thing is I find myself getting lost in those trails. I don't know how. I just end up in these in these trails, and I don't mind. I have time, and my phone will save me with GPS. But has there been any communication with our town staff in terms of signage and possibly the incorporation of the benchlands concept? It is within the benchlands. It is integral to the benchlands, and I'm not sure if there's been any discussions with your organization and our communication staff.
Yeah, thanks. And through you, Chair, it's also Rockaway is also one of my favorite places to hike. I have a dog as well, and I agree. Making sure we put together proper trail systems as part of the project. So trail systems and wayfinding will be completed. It's actually, we're initiating it this year, like right now, to try to, because there's a lot of, non-sanctioned trails currently on that property. So to make sure there's an actual trail system. And as for the benchlands, we're working with Paul and his team. They're proud to say that Cave Springs and Rockaway, we're going to put benchlands in to support that initiative. So I don't know, I hope that answers your question, but yes.
It's fantastic. I just want to ensure that it is being considered with that. And then one more comment through you too. I just want to say thank you to Councillor Foster for the Jordan Road and the South Service Road. We've exchanged many emails. It's been going on, and there is a certain amount of thank you deserved to yourself and to your team and to the MTO. Not everybody may not like a four-way stop at that intersection, I understand, but all it takes is to speak to one family that has been impacted with an accident, and there's been many local families that have been impacted with injuries sustained at that intersection. So I use that road every day, and I have no problem stopping at a four-way stop. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Mikulak, and I will suggest to you that with all of these things, and you guys get it as well with the town of Lincoln, nobody likes change. And certainly nobody likes to, be forced to slow down in certain situations and stuff like that. I'm in complete agreement with you. I think this is a great move, and it's long overdue for that particular intersection. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Councillor Pachuriba.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Adam, again, for coming. Just a technical question. The couple maps, Balls Falls and the Louth Conservation Area, seem to have, Balls Falls has two additional areas, one to the north, one to the east. Is the one at the north, is that like Red Bridge? Is that where that is?
I wonder if it'd be easier if we could put the map on so I
Okay.
could see exactly if that's possible.
Page 5, yeah.
Yeah, so and through you, Chair, so for Balls Falls, the one's right is below, in the valley there, actually close to the Ellis and Jordan area there. It's like that marshy area is the one that's north. The other side, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with you mentioned the Red Bridge, but I could certainly look into that for you. I'm not sure.
Okay, and if I may, Your Worship, so with respect to Cave Spring, so I was at one of the initial discussion, roundtables about that, and always looking for a revenue stream. And Margaret Reed's old homestead there, knowing that there's a lot of people that hike that Bruce Trail, any thoughts of turning that into some type of accommodation that hikers could stay over and garner you guys a revenue stream in some way, shape, or form. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. And again, through you, Chair. Like I mentioned, the focus on this project and the grant was focused on the passive recreation side of things, of enhancement. But as we start, just to also put in perspective, in 2024, we need to start looking, all the MPCA's properties need to start put together management plans. So again, we're going to reopen all these management plans to chat about, and these are all things I think we would look at. Obviously, revenue is important to us as well. So
Okay.
I think that wouldn't be something that would be off the table for sure.
Okay. And then third question, if I may, Your Worship. So again, having been at the opening of the Jordan Harbor Conservation Area years ago and going back to the Balls Falls Conservation Area strat plan, blue sky notion of linking the two together at some point with a boardwalk, and I have talked endlessly from the town's perspective about reusing the old train trellis that goes over Jordan Harbor. The city of city of St. Mary's actually got a grant through Rural Economic Development to redo theirs. Then it becomes a multi-use trail, which would actually be the linchpin to access Balls Falls and the Jordan Harbor. So wanted to get your thoughts on that. I know it's out there, but working together to fulfill that plan that's always been there. And knowing that we have, Adam, knowing that we're having Prudhome's coming online, going to be a boardwalk there, you could go from Balls Falls right to the lake. So I teed it up for you.
Yeah,
Don't
and thank
you just
you.
love it when we create more work?
Through you, Chair. That's
Just tell them, we need a big taxing.
Well, that's an exciting possibility, and something I just talked about, the one property you talked about was right in the middle there, so we can merge it, and with the Jordan Valley Campground that's there, and get all to Jordan Harbor, that of course is a dream. And I think we also launched a land securement strategy last year, and part of that is maybe we can build off on different means through that way to get to there, but that's certainly an exciting possibility that we would always look into if the possibility came into.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to quick add to that, like the town is actually doing some incredibly good work in through the valley there, and I know NPCA, we're involved, the Conservation Authority, in and around figuring out the trails that are going to go down through there. There's a lot of long-term things that we got to look at with this, but I think you're bang on, and I think it also needs to be part of the strategy here. When you guys are looking at all this stuff, saying, hey, NPCA, this would be a really good thing for you guys to do. So.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions, Adam. This is really good news, and I hope you take that back to Chandra and the rest of the team. This is just what's happening here is you're just becoming the a bit dangerous with your own success. So, of course, we're going to be looking for all kinds of improvements. I think that what you brought forward to us this evening is really excellent. It's certainly adding value to the appearance of the town and enhancing our, what we have to offer from a naturalist perspective. I'm interested to know, however, what more your plans might be for working around the watershed and the impact that it's having along the lakefront, particularly the 15-Mile Creek is pretty much wiped right out now with the height of the water and the wave action that's going down. Are there plans for MPC to be more involved in an instructional way, or even an advisory capacity? Or are these other projects really what's going to take up your time for the near future?
You can start.
Sure, I'll start, and thank you for the question. As for some of the lakes, and with Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, we are always looking for land acquisition to support. So if those are in public ownership, we can support some of the initiatives there. As for the other pieces, our watershed department is doing a great job, and I don't know, do you want to mention more on that?
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of discussion going on with our watershed group in and around the entire lakefront within this. So good question, and I'll make sure that we forward it back and then through to the right staff.
Okay, because we're pretty active with the Great Lakes cities and St. Lawrence City, so we want to make sure that if there's projects that we can do some joint applications on, that that we're ready to do that when the time's right. Also, Quarry Road doesn't have a trailhead, does it? Or does it?
It does not have a trailhead. Our goal is we'd like to have one access to all of our conservation areas that allows us to do the appropriate signage to make sure everybody's there aware of from a wayfinding and rules and permitted uses aspect. So that would be our preferred to get everybody to visiting Cave Springs Conservation Area to go to the Cave Springs parking area.
Oh, okay, right. And there's washrooms, and I haven't been up there.
So that would be more of our, again, more of a passive recreation. We don't have washrooms. We encourage everybody to come for an hour and hike and leave. There, we will look into, through our data, through our trail trackers, if we see continued increase in uses, we do offer seasonal portable washrooms at our passive conservation areas if warranted.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations to everyone. You've certainly turned this around big time, including the foundation. And so it's, I'm sure you're going to be very, very successful, and we're all going to benefit. Thanks very much.
Again, thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, councillors. That was some good questions, and great to know that things are full steam ahead on the side of the NPCA. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers and seconded by Councillor Pachariva that council receive and file as information the following: Mayor's report and regional councillor update, an NPCA presentation and update provided by Adam Christie, Director of Conservation Areas. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open. Are you in favor, Councilor Regina? Oh, you just voted. Thank you. Thanks. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The motion is carried, and we're moving on now to item 16, which is a motion to consider confidential matters. We have no confidential matters this evening. We have 2 bylaws for consideration today. Do members have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Brunet that leave be given to approve the following bylaws. 2023-16, a bylaw imposing special annual drainage rates upon land in respect of which money is borrowed under the Tile Drainage Act. Item 2023-17, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2022-50 as amended of the Town of Lincoln, 20 Valley Communities Incorporated. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is open. And I will close that. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
The motion is carried. The next is a motion to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting. We will now confirm the proceedings of the council meeting, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Njima and seconded by Councillor Russell that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2023-18, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Monday, March 27th, 2023, being read a first, second, and third time. The bylaw number 2023-18 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is open. And I will close that. And that carries.
The motion is carried. Before we motion to adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? Mikulik. There was a bit of additional information that came from Julie Andrews regarding the museum or the library, and I wondered if you wanted to just take a couple of seconds to talk about that questionnaire, because we do want to encourage as many people as possible to participate. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Mary Easton. So yeah, no, it's launching April 1st. There's going to be a number of board members at various libraries, various sites, engaging with residents. It runs through April to the end of May. There'll be outreach events during the survey period. It'll be on the library's website, as well as Speak Up Lincoln and the town of Lincoln and the Pelham website. And there's also print copies available in library branches. So, yeah, you know, I mean, these are surveys. Like, me personally, typically, I don't think I would fill out a survey. But, you know, I think that it's important. It's important for people like me that don't normally typically fill out surveys to fill out surveys. Not just the same people that go to the libraries all the time, but from also people that don't typically go to the library. And I think that's the type of person I am. I don't typically go to the library, but if I want to see more in the library that would be good for me, then I have to fill that survey out. So that's the point I'm making, that people need to fill these surveys out. And thank you, Councillor Pachariva, for nominating me to be on that board. If I would not have been volunteered to be on that board, I would not know what was going on with that committee, or that board. So my thanks to Councillor Pachariva with that. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Pachariva.
Yes, Your Worship, and through you to Councillor Mikulik, I hope you've set up a tour with Julie Andrews, and I hope you've got your library card that you can carry on your key ring. I'm proud of you. Okay, good show. See, it's working, Your Worship.
And so we will vote for that. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
And it's open to voting. Thank you. And that carries. Thank you very much.